All right, let's jump straight into this explainer and uncover a highly counterintuitive secret to unlocking your ultimate mental stamina. We usually treat motivation like it's a purely mental game, right? Something we just need to somehow outthink. But today, we're pulling a concept straight from Steve Chandler's phenomenal book, 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself, Change Your Life Forever. We're zooming right in on tip number 61, which simply says, swim laps underwater. Now, I know that sounds completely bizarre for a book about motivation, but this single idea completely flips our traditional understanding of focus on its head by directly connecting physical movement to unparalleled cognitive performance.
To really get this, I want you to imagine preparing for a grueling, entirely sedentary board game at the absolute highest level of global competition. Seriously, if you're about to compete for a world chess championship, what would your physical workout routine look like? You'd probably assume the best prep is just sitting quietly in a room, staring at boards, and memorizing endless books of strategy. But what if the real secret to winning wasn't found on the board at all?
In a fascinating twist of history, the legendary Bobby Fischer prepared for his world championship match against Boris Spassky by doing exactly this. He swam laps underwater. Every single day. I mean, he wasn't training for a triathlon, he was training to sit in a chair and move tiny wooden pieces. It sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? But Fischer wasn't crazy. He had a very specific, highly calculated biological reason for this daily routine.
The end result of that underwater training was stark. When those intense matches wore on into the incredibly late hours of the night, Fischer remained remarkably sharp. He was alert, witty, and had this unshakable mental staying power. On the flip side, Boris Spassky, who was widely considered an absolute chess genius, completely succumbed to exhaustion. He ended up worn out, weary, and just totally burned out.
Section 1. The Physiology of Advantage. Fischer understood a fundamental truth about mental endurance. He knew that as championship matches dragged on, both players were inevitably going to get tired. But in those final, critical moments, the player with the most oxygen flowing to their brain is the one who ultimately wins. So he literally built his chess game by building his lungs. He realized that true, lasting cognitive advantage comes from deep breathing and massive oxygenation. What kept him so sharp wasn't chugging coffee or taking amphetamines. It was simply his breathing.
Section 2. Patton's Brain Power Doctrine. This physiological connection between breathing and mental acuity wasn't just some quirky strategy invented by Bobby Fischer. It was actually grounded in hard military science, taught by none other than General George Patton. Patton commanded his troops with this exact philosophy, emphasizing that absolute mental sharpness is a basic necessity for survival. He famously declared to his soldiers, "In war, as in peace, a man needs all the brains he can get. Nobody ever had too many brains."
And Patton translated this into a brilliant, straightforward biological chain reaction for generating sheer brain power. He broke it down for his men like this. Step 1, air goes into the lungs. Step 2, the oxygen from that air enters the bloodstream. Step 3, it travels straight to the brain. To Patton, brain power literally equaled oxygen. It's a direct, unavoidable physical pipeline to smarter thinking. He even bluntly declared, any fool can double the size of his lungs. Expanding your physical lung capacity isn't some elite genetic trait reserved for Olympic athletes. It is a highly accessible, foolproof way for absolutely anyone to forcefully increase their mental capacity. If you want a bigger brain, you got a bigger lungs. It really is that empowering.
Section 3. Escaping the desk trap.
So how does this apply if you aren't fighting a war or playing for a world chess title? Well, let's look at the incredible experiences of Patton's most trusted legal advisor, Porter Williamson. Williamson was a truly remarkable guy. He authored the book Patton's Principles and served closely alongside the general. Later in life, he faced immense adversity, losing a leg to bone cancer. Doctors actually gave him a terminal forecast twice, yet he outlived both of those predictions. He told Steve Chandler that he literally drew the immense inner strength needed to survive from the motivational teachings he got while serving under Patton.
I want you to picture this specific scenario Williamson recalled. Imagine him sitting quietly at his desk, deeply immersed in typical, sedentary legal paperwork. He's just grinding away, sitting completely still, exactly like so many of us do every single day in our own offices, when suddenly the general bursts in and interrupts him.
Patton would march right up and bark. "How long you been sitting at that desk? Get up and get out of here." It was a direct, shocking command, meant to jolt Williamson completely out of his physical stagnation. Patton wasn't trying to distract him from his legal work. He was actually trying to save his brain so he can do the work well. See, Patton firmly warned his staff that your brain actually stops working after you sit in a swivel chair for just 20 minutes. He demanded that they keep their bodies moving around so the juices will run to the right places. His golden rule was that sitting too long essentially puts all of your brain power straight down into your shoes. It's kind of a funny, memorable visual, but physiologically, he was hitting the nail right on the head.
Section 4. Fueling your mind.
This brings us full circle, perfectly connecting a world chess champion's intense physical training to a legendary general's strict office rules. The crucial point here is this fundamental core principle. An active mind cannot exist in an inactive body. This was Bobby Fischer's secret weapon, and it was General Patton's standing order. Physical movement and that resulting flow of oxygen are not optional extras. They are the non-negotiable prerequisites for high-level motivation and creativity.
The absolute biggest takeaway from Steve Chandler's text here is that you really don't need a complex, elaborate strategy to motivate yourself today. Sometimes you literally just need the air you breathe. Going for a quick run, taking a brisk walk, or even just pausing at your desk to practice deep breathing. That provides the exact physiological fuel your brain craves to refresh itself.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a rather provocative question to consider right now. How long have you been sitting in that chair today? Has it been more than 20 minutes? If so, you know exactly what General Patton would tell you to do. Get up, take a walk, take a massive deep breath, and go give your brain the oxygen it absolutely deserves.